But without further ado, I'm going to kick us off in the morning, and we're joined by someone who is truly purposeful in their social lives. Every single day counts for her, and we're talking about a good leader, a leader with purpose, and a societal changer as well. She's a change maker and founder of Little Dreams. Let us all welcome Madeline Buchner, OAM.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. Oh, and a clicker. Thank you. Oh, that's me. That's a picture of my face. I am very proud to be standing here on the lands of the Boonwurrung people of the Kulin Nation, and also extend my acknowledgement to the traditional owners of the land that we're on, and of the land that we get to live, laugh, dance, play, dream on every day. We're very lucky to be here. My name is Maddie, and I am very proud to be standing here in front of you today. I am a little intimidated also to be standing here in front of you today. I am the founder of an organisation called Little Dreamers. We are Australia's leading young carer support organisation, and I'm here today to chat about the imperative to act now and what it looks like to dream big. But I guess to tell you a little bit about how I ended up on this stage, I think I have to take you back about 22 years. I was 9 years old when I went home and told my parents that I wanted to start a business. My mum is in the room with us today, and I'm very proud to have her here. When I was 9 years old and said to my parents that I wanted to start a business, they could have said so many things to me. They could have said, no, you're too young. There's no time to do this right now. Why on earth would you want to do this? Why can't you be doing things like normal 9-year-olds? But instead of saying all those things, they actually turned around and they said, okay. And I think that first okay and that first belief that my parents had in me and my ability to change the world is something that is one of the reasons that I'm standing here today. When I turned 32, which was last year because it's nearly my birthday, and I'm nearly going to be 33, which is scary, I realised that I've grown up wearing many hats in my life. I've grown up as a daughter, a granddaughter, a great-granddaughter, a niece, a cousin, a friend. I'm a absolutely massive country music fan. I love Audrey Hepburn, and my favourite movie of all time is a movie called Grease, which you may have heard of. I don't drink coffee. I drink a hell of a lot of tea, and I sleep with a hot water bottle no matter what time of year it is and no matter what temperature it is outside. I do like to read a lot, although when things get busy in my life, it is often the thing that goes first. I'm a young person who grew up with a very, very sick little brother and a very unwell mum. I'm a young person who grew up feeling very isolated, very lonely, very anxious. And today I am the founder of a not-for-profit organisation. I have a team of 50 incredible staff. We have offices in Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland. I'm an absolute workaholic, and I am also a proud young woman. And so wearing all of those hats, I think I've often not really figured out who I am or how I fit into this world. But I think that wearing all of those different things also possibly makes me the best person to be doing what I do. I remember being as young as 6 years old and pouring out my brother's medicine. I would check on his breathing. I would wake up my parents in the middle of the night when I thought something was wrong. I knew that if I slept through the night, that I would wake up potentially to the sound of ambulance and the lights and sirens, and I would tiptoe up and down the hallway in the middle of the night, not really sure what I was looking for, but also making sure that everything was okay. I don't actually remember the very first time my little brother, who is now 30 years old, so he's not that little anymore, and he's also about here. I don't remember the first time he went into hospital, because the 8 to 10 multi-night visits per year all kind of feel like one really long visit in the end. But I do remember the day my mum got sick. I was 14 years old, and my grandfather picked me up from school and was driving me home. And I remember walking across the really big patio that we had out the front of our home at the time. And the minute I walked in the door, I kind of got a sense that something was off. My mum was sitting on the big, white, kind of lumpy couch that we had, and my nana was sitting next to her. And I don't actually remember who said the word cancer, but I remember feeling like my whole world had come crashing down. I was incredibly used to providing care for my brother. His epilepsy, encephalitis, fibromyalgia, poor immune system was kind of second nature to us. And in our family, we knew exactly what to do when Charlie got sick. But my mum being sick was not normal for us and was not something that made a lot of sense in my 14-year-old brain. I became really angry. I would slam doors so much that I broke the door frame, which I know I'm a pretty cheery looking girl now, but I think that I didn't really know how to handle what I was feeling, and I didn't have anyone else who I could speak to at the time. The next 12 months were filled with hair loss, scarves, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, multiple surgeries, lots of sleepless nights. But what I do remember at the time was the feeling of community that we felt. My family constantly had a stocked fridge and freezer. My friends and their parents picked us up from school, we stayed at their houses, and everyone tried to keep life as normal for us as possible. But having caring responsibilities in the home is something that is actually really common for so many of us. Across Australia, over 3 million people have caring responsibilities, and we know that 391,000 of those are young people under the age of 25. We care for people like our mum, our dad, our brother, our sister, our grandparents, our cousins, our friends, and so often those caring responsibilities are not things that we choose to do, and they're not things that we question to do. They're things that we say, okay, well, how can I help? What can I do in this situation? And how can I make this better? For our young people, there's also an additional question around how do I fit this in with my schooling? How do I see my friends? How do I make sure I can achieve my full potential and whatever dream I had in life, irrespective of what my caring role might be? Caring is so much about who we are. It's how we define ourselves, whether we think it or not. I'm on a really creaky part of this stage, which is quite fun. Caring is something that helps us understand our values and how we understand the world around us. As families and communities, we so often look out for people when we know they're going through a tough time. We bring the food, we clean the house, we do the school drop-offs. But what happens for those young people and those families that don't have a sense of community or don't have all those people around them that can help and provide that support when they need it? Research tells us that there are 2 to 3 kids in every single classroom who grows up as a young carer. These young people are taking on tasks like providing emotional support, doing household work, personal care, so toileting, showering, providing medication, helping to lift people in and out of the bed, handling the NDIS and going through systems like My Aged Care. We also know that these young people who take on these responsibilities have higher risks of not finishing high school, have higher rates of mental health, are more likely to live in families close to or below the poverty line. We know that young carers are up to 1.5 years behind in their schooling at a Year 9 level, and 2 in 3 young carers report having a mental illness of their own, and I am one of them as a proud person who lives with anxiety. My childhood may not have been like yours, or actually maybe it kind of was quite similar to yours, but it was definitely a childhood that was filled with love, laughter, and a celebration of the things that matter most. We no longer keep the fancy glasses for special occasions, but we bring them out on a random Wednesday night because why wait? Officially launched in 2009, Little Dreamers exists to improve the quality of life of kids and young people who provide unpaid care, and we do this by focusing on 5 main areas: social identity, social connection, health and wellbeing, employment, and financial literacy. And I'm so lucky because each day I get to work with, I think, our country's most vulnerable young people and also our country's best young people. We spend time getting to know each of these young people individually, and we work to give them more opportunities, supported access to education, employment. We listen to them talk about what they want to be when they grow up, whether it's policemen, nurses, teachers, hairdressers, fashion designers, and Air Force pilots. We provide platforms for these young people to discuss topics that matter to them most: body image, social media pressures, healthcare, disability, advocacy, and the need for more support for young carers and for carers in our community. We provide connections with people, places and services to help them improve their quality of life for more well-rounded young people and for young people who can achieve their full potential. From cerebral palsy to intellectual disability, autism, mental illness, undiagnosed illnesses and disabilities, epilepsy and substance use. It is my absolute pleasure to be working with these young people, to be providing opportunities that they never would have been able to have access to, for young people who are growing up faster than they should, and for young people who are coming into contact with things that many adults shouldn't have to. We work tirelessly every day to ensure that young people growing up with care and responsibilities also have access to the childhood that every child deserves. We have a team of 50 staff now. So when I started 16 years ago, there was just me. I became an employee of the organisation 8 years ago, and now we have a team of 50 staff based in both metro, rural and regional locations across Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland. And we're all working to defend human rights and to make sure that our young carers are cared for. In fact, over the past 12 months alone, we have directly impacted the lives of 2,500 young people and delivering over 23,000 hours of direct support. We turned 16 years old this year, and I'm incredibly proud of the work that we do and the number of young people that we've been able to support. And our programs are pretty special. From dream experiences to one-on-one tutoring, holiday programs, online peer support, whole of school training for teachers, and personal development programs, each one of our supports are actually the first of their kind for young carers in Australia. Oh, there's a picture of our programs. I should have flipped the slide earlier. We also recently launched a clinical mental health service designed by young carers for young carers to support those 2 out of 3 young carers who have a mental illness of their own, and for those who are so afraid of the stigma that comes with seeing a professional mental health service that doesn't have any understanding of what it means to be a young carer. We've seen examples of situations where psychologists and counsellors have called child protection in an instance where it's definitely not a child protection claim, it is a care and responsibility. And so having a service that is designed by young carers for young carers makes sure that mental health is accessible at a price point that's accessible, but also for a service that understands who they are. Over the past 23 years, from running the CareNet Kids Club through to launching Little Dreamers in 2009, my journey has taken me to some pretty extraordinary places. From a shy girl who was incredibly badly bullied to one who grew up as a young carer with debilitating anxiety, through to the girl who is standing here before you today, the same person that shook the hands of Queen Elizabeth and who sat next to Prince Harry at dinner, and the same person who freaked out when they met Liam Payne in Buckingham Palace. I was the youngest person in my intake to receive an Order of Australia Medal in 2019, and I am also the person who sang karaoke with the 90s boy band Hanson, which is probably the best day of my life. I wouldn't change a thing about my childhood, but I would change the amount of recognition and support young carers receive in the community. And that's what motivates me to get up every day, even in times like this. And I could stand up here for hours and tell you all about what it's been like over the last 32 years of running a business, but my story is just one of hundreds of thousands of young carers, and I can guarantee that there are young carers in the room with you today. And so if you feel comfortable to talk about your young caring experience, every story breaks down barriers for other young people. Over the years, I've learnt that leadership isn't just about having titles or having all the answers, it's about being willing to learn and to get things wrong sometimes. I used to think that strong leaders looked a particular way or stood in front of you and appeared a particular way. But now I know that leadership is messy, it's human, and it's full of vulnerability. It's about admitting when you don't know, asking for help, and surrounding yourself with people that challenge you and inspire you. I've learnt that success is rarely a straight line. It's built on 1,000 tiny experiments that happen every single day. The late nights, the awkward conversations, the moments where you wonder if anyone even notices the work that you're putting in. But those are the moments that build character, and those are the moments that end you up in situations you didn't expect. I've learnt that failure is not the opposite of success, it's actually just part of it. Some of my biggest leaps forward have come from situations that have been full of failures. A funding rejection that forced us to rethink an entire program. A partnership that fell apart, a campaign to develop a celebrity sandwich cookbook that we launched back in 2012 in partnership with a major Australian bakery, who then pulled out a few months into the partnership, and now 13 years later, I'm still stuck with these cookbooks that I can't get rid of. You learn to trust that even the hard stuff is shaping you for what's coming up next. And maybe the biggest lesson of them all is that you cannot pour from an empty cup. For a long time, I believed that caring for others meant consistently putting yourself last, doing more, being more, proving that the late night hustles and showing everyone that you're working at 2 o'clock in the morning is the thing that makes people believe that you are the right person to do that job. But leadership isn't a sprint. It's a really hilly, very windy marathon, and I don't run marathons. Rest is part of the progress, and kindness to others, but actually most importantly to yourself, is part of what should be your job description. Turn my page. I often think about what might have happened if I had told myself that I was too young to start Little Dreamers or to start the CareNet Kids Club, which I launched when I was 9. The thought that I was too young, that I don't know enough yet, even when I was offered the role of taking up CEO and quitting my part-time copywriting and marketing job, I thought, I should probably get someone who has a little bit more experience than I do and someone who's actually done this before. The truth is, if I'd listened to that voice, Little Dreamers wouldn't exist. Thousands of young carers would have missed out on the services that they need, and I would probably still be sitting at a computer in an office somewhere waiting for someone else to fix a problem that I had the power to do. We live in a world right now that tells us to prepare, to study more, to get more experience, to wait for the time when you have done enough to earn the position that you're given. But in reality, there is no right time. The right time never actually announces itself. You just start, and along the way, you kind of figure out what you're doing. And every day I sit at my laptop and say, I still don't know what I'm doing. And so that time, you're constantly learning no matter what role you're in. Acting now doesn't mean you have to know every step. You just need to know what the first one is to take. So for me, when I took the first step, I asked people to sell raffle tickets. I booked in a meeting with someone before I even knew exactly what support services I was offering. I made sure that all of my family and friends were volunteering at events that we ran. I had no idea what would happen after that or what was coming up next, but I just knew what I needed to do that first time. And when I started Little Dreamers, I had no real responsibility. I was 16 years old. I was in year 11 at school. Jumping into running a business, there was no real risk that I was taking and putting myself into financial risk by doing that. However, that's not saying that you can't do this when you have other responsibilities. I just think it's more about being aware of what keeps you safe and being able to do what you believe in and what makes a difference to you at the same time of making sure that you're caring for yourself. Taking the first step doesn't always look dramatic. It's sometimes quiet, small, and even invisible to anyone else. When I started, I printed out pages and pages of what an Australian business number or an ABN is. I had no idea what it was. I had no idea how to register with one. And I would print all the pages out and go through a highlighter and try and work out exactly what to do. I was trying really hard to convince adults that a 16-year-old could run a business, so much that when I got my license, I would take my P plates off the car as I drove into car parks, because I thought that if people knew how old I really was, that they wouldn't take me seriously. Your first step might look quite different. As Ryan said, it might be talking with people in the room today. It might be building a connection today. It might be enrolling in a course you've been too scared to try, speaking up in a meeting or sharing an idea with someone that you trust, or saying yes to an opportunity that just terrifies you a little bit. The first step doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to happen, because the act of creating movement creates confidence. My parents always told me to remember that I'm not a tree. I have the ability to move. I'm not stuck anywhere. And here's the thing, when you take that first step, something in the universe tends to shift. You start seeing proof that your idea isn't just a dream, it's actually an opportunity, and people start to notice. The right opportunities and collaborators begin to appear. You end up in incredible rooms like this with people like Senvik who have the ability to make your idea a reality. It's almost like the universe kind of conspires to meet you halfway once you start believing in yourself. And if the first step feels small, take it anyway, because what begins as one small act of courage can turn into a ripple effect like Little Dreamers that then affects hundreds, if not thousands, of young people. You don't have to have it all figured out. And if I can leave you with the most important thing that I've learned on my journey, it's to be unapologetically and authentically yourself. Energize those around you with your spirit and your passion, and make sure those in your inner circle energize you right back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you, Madeline. Is that not inspiring or what, guys? Give her a round of applause again. We are thankful for all the speech that you have given, all the little creaks that you've given as well. Look, speaking of creaks though, isn't that what she does? Depending on where you are, even the little steps can be what makes a big sound, isn't it?